Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Nick and the Weekly Show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, joined by Jeff Clafter from the Happily Ever Clafter Daily Sports Blog. Short show today. I always say that and then it goes longer, but I think it's going to be a relatively short show today. We're going to talk about the Knicks preseason win versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, touch a little bit on the GM survey, a little bit, and then the obligatory, I guess if you're a content creator, you have to address the Giannis story.
The elephant in the room.
I guess. I'm so locked in. I see that story as a distraction. You know what I mean? I'm a fan. I'm locked. You know. But hey, I guess as content creators, you know, others may want to hear what we have to say. So we'll give our opinion on that. But let's start with the game tonight. Julius Randle, if I'm not mistaken, no, this is not his first time back in the Garden, right?
No, not at all.
To play, I mean, he's played before. Okay, all right, that's fine. Julius Randle was back in the house today with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was actually we got a better sense of the Knicks, right? Philadelphia to me was their B team, C team, right? But today Edwards played, Gobert, Julius Randle. So it was a good team. It was a good eye test, a good way to see this team against some real competition. What were your overall or initial thoughts on the game?
Well, yeah, I think Minnesota is a really good team, and it looked like a third game of the preseason. Neither team shot the ball particularly well. I'm not going to credit defense to that entirely. Minnesota was really sloppy with the ball. I think they turned it over like 20 some odd times. And the Knicks got like 15 more shots for the game because of that. And so, that was really the difference. I mean, we tried to build a new wing of MSG with all the bricks that we put up. I mean, I think outside of second half McCall, I don't know anybody who's, who you could say shot the ball well. I liked what I saw from Bridges, though. I think offensively he looks comfortable, and he looks more like himself. He looks like the shackles are off of him. You know what I mean? And he's just he's playing free, and he's playing, and it's helping his game for sure. And I'm wondering if that leap that we were kind of expecting last year, that you specifically said you thought he was going to take a jump, I'm wondering if maybe that this year under Mike Brown is the time that we see that jump up, and I would love to see it because the potential is certainly there, and he we've seen him do it before, but he kind of got locked in the corners, and the mid range last year, but he looks like a different player out there to me right now, just as far as how he's being aggressive and attacking the basket. Very, very much different approach, in my opinion.
Yeah, he played 25 minutes. He was 6 of 12, 50% from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Also with, what was that?
Didn't he have 2 or 3 steals?
4 rebounds, 3 steals, and assists. And to your point, like we were talking before the show started, that first half was really like an NBA game, right? The second half, overtime, but the first half was a good indicator. I thought Bridges played well. He looked good. And I do think that, to your point, what we thought would happen last year will happen this year, in my opinion. So he looked good. Any thoughts on anybody else? So all of the starters except for Mitch played at least 24 minutes. And then Miles McBride played 27 minutes. Thoughts on Brunson tonight or just in the preseason altogether?
That 3-point shot is just not fallen right now. I don't know if it's not, I don't know what the reason for it is, but he was 1 for 6 again tonight, and it's not like he's getting tough looks. I mean, he's getting open looks. Those are shots he normally makes, so I'm not overly worried about it. I'd much rather him miss those shots now than when the games actually count. But I think, to me, he had a couple early turnovers, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him. I think that Minnesota can bother him defensively, and so Ant-Man's tough. Like, he's just he can lock people up, and he I think he takes the playing the Knicks real seriously, and so I think maybe that had something to do with it. But I'm not worried about it. He didn't shoot the ball well, neither did Towns. Like,
Boy.
I'm not sure it's fully locked in either because it's preseason. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But shooting aside, like efficiency aside, for both Towns and Cat, how do they look in the offense? Because it's one thing to look great, you get your looks, and they just don't go down. And I kind of think that was the issue with Brunson. He seemed to be getting to his spots, just not knocking down the shots. But I got to be honest, I didn't see that. The offense didn't seem to click. Now, obviously, Minnesota had something to do with that. We were turning the ball over. Both teams were playing, I would say, pretty good defense, right, in that first quarter, first half. I think that the offense is going to be a work in progress. I think we can talk about space and pace. We can talk about, different schemes, but it's going to be a work. It's going to be a work in progress. They're trying to learn each other. It's going to be easier against some teams, right? Who are not good defensively, harder against other teams. Like, I thought Minnesota came out pretty focused defensively, and the Knicks looked okay on the offensive end. Your thoughts just overall offensively?
I'm curious if it was one of those just bad shooting nights from three, right? I mean, in other words, if they shoot 35% from three, they had 51 attempts or something. But if they shoot closer to league average, I think you're looking this night and you're saying it was an offensive success, right? And they definitely want to get the shots up. Obviously, it's not just about getting them up; it's also about making them at some point. But so it might be just one of those things where we just didn't make our perimeter shots. But again, you live by the three, you die by the three sometimes. So as you said, it may be a case of, if those are the shots that we're wanting to generate on a nightly basis, we're going to have to suffer through some nights like this. But context matters, and yes, it was the whole fourth quarter was garbage time and all this and that and the other thing. But Towns shot the ball poorly. Brunson shot the ball poorly. We couldn't hit water if we fell out of a boat from the perimeter, and we were still hanging in there with probably one of the top 5 teams in the league. And so and they were playing to, make no mistake, the Timberwolves through the 3 quarters were playing to win that game. And so so from that standpoint, it's kind of like anything that could go wrong did, and we were still within an arm's length, within striking distance. It was ugly at times, in my opinion, but you're infusing a new bench, you got a new system, so it's gonna, you're gonna have some moments like this, I guess.
What I did like, one of the things I liked was, defensively, the Knicks seemed to be much more active. Now, was this Julius Randle returning to the Garden, or is this going to be the Knicks? In the preseason, Towns is definitely playing with much more defensive urgency and activity. I saw Clarkson, Yabusele, putting in effort on the defensive end. Clarkson putting in effort on the defensive end. Obviously, to me, I feel defense effort is part of it, but there's also execution defensively as well. But it was just good to see Cat, these guys who you don't really think of as defensive player or putting in the effort on that end. It was just refreshing to see Cat, Yabusele, and Clarkson putting in effort on that end of the court. Let's see how long that, you know, let's see how long that lasts.
Well, if you had told me before preseason started that the defense would be light years ahead of the offense, I would have scratched my head. But sure seems to be that way. Mike Brown's team, in all 3 games, I think has really put forth a decent effort on the no bucket side of the floor, and they've been much better on that end than they have on offense. And so, it's a work in progress. But what I liked most, I guess, Queen, is that you saw that guys are fighting for roster spots at the end of the bench, and you're kind of seeing that they're playing like their future with the ball club depends on it, right? You're seeing Daddy step up and play some good minutes. You're seeing, Malcolm Brogdon come in and have some good minutes. You got even Tyler Kolek, makes the big 3 to put him ahead at the end of regulation. Although I don't know that this was necessarily his best outing. Ariel Hukporti, I thought, was very good in the minutes that he played. I admittedly wasn't against the best competition, but, he looked good out there, especially defensively and rebounding the ball. And so you're seeing all these guys, and it really feels like, and even Garrison Matthews hit a big 3 down the stretch. So, it really seems like there's a lot of competition that's fueling these guys forward, and it's going to make for some tough. We're going to cut a good player, maybe 2, or trade a good player, maybe 2, possibly cut and trade a player who's pretty good, like at the end of this preseason, because you can't keep everybody. And
Right.
and so it's, in a sense, it's a good problem to have, but in another way it's kind of sad, because it looks like you're almost having to make a choice between the ready now guys who can help today and the guys who could be something down the line, but we don't really know, and do we have time to find out? You know what I mean? And then those are tough decisions to make as a franchise, because when you get guys who play well on rookie deals, that helps you out, uh, because the salary cap constraints and everything else,
Right. Of the guys who don't have guaranteed contracts, who has either impressed you, or if they haven't impressed you, you feel like it's just a matter of time, like they'll really fit in with this team and really help us.
Of the non-guaranteed guys, I think that I would rank them, if I had to: Brogdon, then Shamet, then Matthews. I think that would be my pecking order if it was me. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on it are. But if I had, I think if I based on what I've seen from the 3 of them, and what their skill sets are, and how I feel like they can fit in this team, and how duplicatable their skill sets are from the rest of the guys on the team. Like if Matthews isn't there, he's a good sniper and a 3-point shooter. Do we have somebody else who can do that? You know what I mean? And those
Yeah.
kinds of things. But if I was to rank them, the non-guaranteed guys, that's how I would rank them. What do you think?
Well, I was going to ask you, but you answered the question. Were you ranking them based on how they performed in the preseason, or also bringing in some context in terms of what the team needs? And it sounds like you're bringing in context as well.
You have to do both, because it's not enough to say that Malcolm Brogdon was a 6th man of the year. If the guy is a corpse out there on the court, then you don't need him. You don't need to give him that last spot. But it looks to me like he has enough in the tank. And it looks to all, I mean, I know he expects and wants to play, but it looks like if we have to bring him around slowly, we can. And the other thing to remember is Josh Hart didn't play tonight.
Yeah, yeah. And Josh Hart didn't play tonight. And then also, Brogdon didn't come in until later. So there was the 3 guards with OG and Mitch. And so I like that. Like, these guards are kind of undersized with Clarkson and McBride and Shamet. let me make sure I have some, defensive, players behind them, some height behind them. I don't know how that lineup did, by the way, but I did notice it. And, McBride seemed to be the lead guard for how many possessions with that team. So the sense I'm getting when those three are out there, it's just whoever has it, run the offense. It's not really having like one lead person that's the floor, one player that's the floor general, so to speak. For me, to get back to your question, yeah, I guess I would put it in that order too. I do want to say this. I don't get Shamit. Like Mike Brown seems to like him, right? He gets into the game before Brogdon, and again, they could be bringing Brogdon along slowly. The only reason I don't get Shamit, and I'm a Shamit fan. If you remember when he came to the team last year, I was pretty excited about his shooting. But I don't know. I just feel with Clarkson and Deuce, do you need Shamit? Um, um, East Blue Drew says I like Shamit. I like him too. I just wonder if it's do we need another undersized shooting guard if we have Deuce and well, I don't know if we even want to call Clarkson a shooting guard.
No, he's gonna shoot. We don't know if he's gonna make it or not, but he is a shooting guard. We don't know. We're not sure if he ever makes any of them, but he's gonna shoot them. He had like 11 shots in 4 minutes tonight, I think.
Oh God. Oh boy.
I agree with you about Shamit, though. I wonder if he's too much of a duplication and almost a luxury at this point with this group. I can certainly understand that if they go that way. And my question is, do you want to have to cut bait on one of the younger guys in order to keep Shamit? Like, is it, in other words, is what Shamit's going to bring worth potentially trading away Pacome Daddier at age 22? Right. You know what I mean? For, salary filler, not salary, for a salary cap room and a draft choice, is that worthwhile? Is what he's going to bring in the limited minutes that he would get worth that cost? I don't know. That's my thing on that.
Yeah, we talked about that early on in preseason. Like, who are you, before we knew whether Brogdon could walk, right? Before we knew whether he would be healthy, it was, I'm okay with trading any of those guys for two veterans that are going to be relatively healthy and are going to help the team. Like, what's the quality of those two guys? And so now we're into preseason with three games in, and I guess the question is, do we see the quality or enough of the quality to possibly trade a young guy? I don't know. I don't know.
Then the question too is, what's more of what do we take away more from that? Shamit played with more of the starters and didn't look as good, or do we put more stock in the fact that Brogdon didn't play with the starters and looked better?
Yeah.
In other words, is that and what's the gray area in between there? Because you would figure if you're playing with better players, you ought to at least not, you ought to at least look good on the floor. And I'm not sure that was necessarily the case. And then, with Brogdon, is it just a case of, well, he's just playing against, the third string Minnesota players, and that's why, and that's why he had a good run. And if you put him in again with the first team, he's going to look even worse than Shamit. I'm not saying that he will, but that's a question that we don't have the answer to because we haven't really seen it in reverse except briefly in the second Sixers game, I think.
Right. I will say this though. When you say Shamit didn't look good, was it because he was missing shots, or you felt like he wasn't where he was, where he needed?
I guess from the context that I didn't think the team played very well in the minutes that he was on the floor. I thought that I thought that we were being outscored, and I didn't think he was providing any answers on either end of the court. I don't think he shot the ball that well, and I didn't look at his defense and be like, oh wow, this guy's really making an impact, on either end of the court. And so that's where I'm coming up with that from. And if you saw it and you think that's unfair, then let me know. I'm more than.
No, I think it's a little unfair because he's in there with the, he's in there with the starters. You would think that the starters are going to be the one driving the results, any results that you have or don't have. Now, if you say that the expectation is that he comes in and gives a little spark and you didn't see that, I think that's fair, to expect, him to come in and give a spark if the starters aren't, playing well. But I thought the whole team, other than Bridges, just didn't play well tonight. I thought he was where he was supposed to be. I thought he took the shots he was supposed to take. He just didn't. He just didn't make it. And I'm not pounding the table for Shaman. Like, I think he's, like Deuce is the first one off the bench, right? Clarkson, I don't see it again unless you're going to run out a 3-guard lineup. And then once Josh Hart comes back, if Brogdon is going to be really playing those backup minutes to Brunson, 17 players played tonight. Like, that's not going to be. That's not going to be
2 or 3 of them not even going to be on the roster. So,
right.
I mean, Bowman is definitely not going to be here, and I'm not real sure Tyler Kolek is going to be here, to be honest with you.
Right.
But,
It's 9.5 players, he said. 9.5 to 10 players, and whoever is 9 and 10, or particularly 10, may not play. May not play a lot of minutes. So it's going to be interesting. Brogdon to me looks okay. I don't remember if he was ever faster than this, or this is just the pace that he plays at. I don't quite remember.
I always kind of thought he was one of those slow, killing you softly kind of players, but I could be wrong about that. To be honest with you, unless he was playing the Knicks, I didn't really pay attention to it that much.
Exactly. So this may just be him and and his pace. I'm not sure what fans are expecting from Brogdon. Like, for me, I don't expect him to be lights out. I just expect him to be a steady hand. That's it. I just expect him to be a steady hand and run the team. And I know in preseason we went back and forth between whether the Knicks needed a floor general like Brogdon or whether just having those 3 guards out there just interchangeably running the offense was good enough.
Did you like that when the 3 guards were out there tonight? Like, we saw a lot of 3-guard lineups. What did you?
Yeah, I mean, part of it, to me, I didn't think it ran smoothly, but I think to me that was because of Clarkson. I just think Clarkson is a flow stopper. Maybe if he wasn't, maybe there would have been better ball movement with those 3 guards, right? It's just that whenever he gets the ball, it's going up. Now, he did settle down a little bit. He did make some, nice passes, or maybe I was just surprised that he actually passed the ball, that I read too much.
He might have led the team in assists tonight. I think Clarkson had at least 3 assists, and I don't think he turned the ball over once. I don't know what I may be exaggerating.
No turnovers, 3 assists. OG had 2 assists. Karl Anthony Towns had 2. Brunson had. So him and Brunson had 3. He's an underrated passer. Don't get me wrong. He has the ability. I think it's just more about him settling down. Like he punches and goes up.
I think he needs the yellow light from 3 instead of the green light, because he's never been a really good 3-point shooter in his entire career. So those aren't the shots that we need to be taking. But if Mike Brown is telling him to let fly, he's got to do what the coach says, even if he's not hitting them. So
I mean, I know they want to get up at least 40 at 57. I mean, Nick, come on. I don't know about that. How did Mitchell Robinson look? And and those in the chat, let me know. Like, he didn't start in the second half. Was he injured? Was there whoever? If somebody listened to the press conference, did Mike Brown say he just wanted to rest him? Was it that the Knicks were down and he just wanted to go with a faster, more wide open offense in that third quarter? I'm not quite sure. But Mitchell Robinson played close to 13 minutes today, and he had 6 rebounds, 5 of them defensive.
That's kind of what you want to see, though, right? I mean, that's been a critical thing for Robinson, is how is he going to do cleaning up the defensive glass? And that was a weakness of his, 2 or 3 years ago. We had many discussions about his defensive rebounding in the, on this show. So to see that he and Towns both rebounded the ball well tonight, and we need that.
Towns had 11.
Yeah. So, I thought he was okay. I mean, he wasn't like phenomenal, but I thought he did a decent job. The defense was good when he was out there. He's a limited player offensively still. He affects the defensive end with the things that he does. So I thought it was a very Mitch-like game. I would if he plays like that, I'll certainly live with it. Let's put it that way. I don't think he actively hurt us tonight. I don't think he was like best. I don't think he was at his best either. I think that would be a fair assessment.
Yeah, and I wonder about his stamina too. Like the pace is quick, and a lot of times when they were turning to go off the court, like he would put his head down, like, I gotta get back. So I do worry about his stamina a little bit, but I think he'll be fine over the course of the season. And I like the flexibility of this roster. So in years past, I thought Mitch's limited offense would hurt the Knicks, right? And I was wondering about the trade-off between his defense and his offense, whether it's a net positive or not. I have no concerns about Mitchell Robinson this year because, one, if he's hurting us offensively, or if teams are taking advantage, put it that way, if teams are taking advantage of Mitch's limitation on offense, we can bring Cat in. We can bring in Yabusele small ball. I know you don't particularly like it, but that option is there. He's not a good free throw shooter. Okay, if they start hacking him, we have other options. So I'm not concerned about Mitchell Robinson's limitations at all. We're going to get what he's going to give us on defense, which is elite pick and roll defense, offensive rebounds, better defensive rebounds, man in the paint. And when it ever becomes an issue, he can come out. And that's the same thing about Josh Hart. I'm not concerned about Josh Hart either. Because if Josh Hart is stinking up to joint and he's not shooting or he's not taking shots, he can come out. So I just love the versatility of this, of this roster, that we don't have to stick with a particular player because there are no other options. So, yeah, I'm super cool with the roster.
And the other thing is, if it's 9.5, but it's not the same 9.5 guys every night, that's not the end of the world. I think that's what you're saying, right? Is that
right?
Yeah, it's gonna be 9.5 players, but some nights you maybe one night it may be a Brogdon night, another night it may be a Huck Porty night, then it might be a whomever, just depending on circumstances for the game, and that's certainly not something that last year's team had a versatility to do, in my opinion.
Or if Tom Thibodeau, I think or if Thibodeau felt comfortable pulling the strings. Maybe that change. And I think Mike Brown would. I think Mike Brown is somebody to be like, you know what? I don't think Mitch has it. Let me reach all the way down and bring in Huck Porty, who hasn't played in 5 games, and let's see what he can give us tonight. I think Mike Brown would be more apt to do that than Tom Thibodeau. But I want to get to the chat, and I want to talk a little bit about Giannis.
Yeah, we've got a couple super chats, I know.
Yes, I'm gonna read the super chats. Because what I'm getting from the chat is we won the game, but the starters did not play well. Like the starters are not, not there yet. And I think that's fair. All right. So let's get to the super chat. Shout out to Silk Sutton. Appreciate you. Queen, the Dubai trip. First game there. And Dust game back. Knicks didn't shoot well either game. So you're saying that you think the shooting is going to be an issue with the Knicks? The first game there. And this is the first game back, and the Knicks didn't shoot well either. Do you think though it'll come around? Like, do you think that you have shooters on this team, and it's just a matter of time? Like, that's kind of how I seem to. Shooters might be strong. I think we have players who can hit shot. Like, we don't have a sniper on this team, in my opinion, but we have players who can shoot the ball at a really decent.
Brunson and Towns are really good from three, though.
Yeah, they are. But
they're both 40% shooters on decent volume. I mean, I don't know what the definition of a sniper is, but I consider both of those two elite 3-point shooters. And maybe I'm just being a homer. That's possible, but I consider both.
I'm thinking a sniper. I wouldn't put. I guess when I'm thinking sniper, I'm thinking of a guard, like that
like
if he gets an open shot, it's going down. I guess Brunson for sure. Yeah. That's yeah. I would agree. I'm thinking like Klay Thompson, Desmond Bane, like those guys. If you swing it to them, it's going down. But yeah, if you're just looking at percentages, yeah, I would give you that. Jason Benjamin, for what Brogdon has shown, I just keep Kolek, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at, right? If you're looking at the stats, if you're looking at, it depends on what you're looking at. For me, can he stabilize this team? Like, I guess my expectations of what I want from Brogdon is kind of low. So, and I think he's better than Kolek just in terms of experience. Like, if Brunson was in foul trouble, I would feel more comfortable with Brogdon than Kolek. If Brunson had to miss a few games, I would feel more comfortable with Brogdon than Kolek. And that may just be experience, right? 5 years from now, I might feel totally different.
Kolek's a 25-year-old player, though, and he hasn't really, improved and shown, you know what I mean? He hasn't taken a jump. I was a bit high on Kolek when we drafted him. I thought he was going to be, thought he was a steal. I thought it was a great get. I was real excited, but the game seems too fast for him. I don't know. I don't really. Not maybe that's mean spirited, but I don't know that he can handle. I don't think he can get by first string players with this handle. I think he does have good court vision, but I don't know that with his skill set that he's shown is enough. Is he a good player? Yes, but is he worthy of a rotation or end of the bench spot on a championship team? I haven't seen anything that says that he is. So I'm kind of skeptical about that. But and like I said, I was in his corner at first, but we have now 3 preseason games. We have summer league. He hasn't really looked like he's elevated or improved his game at all. So I'm not sure Kolek has what it takes to be in the NBA. I'm just not sure he's an NBA player at this point. And we need one on the end of the bench. And I'm confident that Brogdon, when healthy, certainly is. So that's where I'm leaning on that side of the fence.
Yeah. Lloyd's brother, Anna Grill, didn't see the game. I hear they shot poorly, but did they get good open looks? I think for the most part they did. I think some of the shots, at least from Clarkson, was forced. But yeah, I thought the shots were pretty good. What's your thinking on that?
Yeah, I think they got a lot of. I think they got the shots that they wanted in the offense. I think they took the shots they were supposed to take. Like, I don't think Mike Brown is sitting there reaming them for, why did you take that shot? I think it was, we got the looks that we wanted, and look, we're not going to shoot 25% from three for the season. They like that's woeful and dreadful. We've got guys who are 35 plus percentage guys for their entire careers. They're not all going to fall off the map and start to, you know what I mean? And forget how to shoot overnight. I don't see that happening. And frankly, Bridges is the one guy who shot well, and he's probably the weakest 3-point shooter of the lot of them, if you want to be truthful about it. And so that'll square itself. I'm sure the trip to Dubai probably had something to do with it. I mean, how being a world traveler, I've never traveled that far before, but in my shorter travels, that can wear you out. Talking about a 6,000-mile trip each way and 2 games and everything like that. Still preseason. I could see it just being there, not having their legs underneath them. But that's a good test because you're going to have those points during the year too, right? When you're in the second game of a back-to-back and third game, fourth game in 5 nights, those kinds of things. Those are the situations where you need to be able to grind out a win, and they were within striking distance to be able to do that. So
yeah. Thoughts on Yabusele? Played 14 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field, 0 of 3 from the 3-point line, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover. I don't want to get into plus minuses in the preseason. Thoughts on Yabusele?
I'm not overly impressed with Yabu thus far. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
His father's coming in.
Well, Adja's going to yell at me. But that's okay. It's the Incredible Hulk. The Green Lantern has returned.
Yeah, I came in at the right time. Watch your mouth, Jeff.
So as I was saying, I love Yabusele. He's the best player in the world. The All NBA is
watch out now.
Team is on its way.
He started the second half. I said, Ajay's sitting there watching the game with his pom-poms on.
He's going to need to hit shots. I mean,
double duty tonight. I was watching the Giants game.
Good, but yeah. I got to watch that probably on the plane tomorrow. I'll watch.
Did they win?
They're winning. The game's still going on.
I don't know what it's like to have a football team that wins a game, so you'll have to fill me in on that later.
In between over here too.
Not as far and few between though.
Yeah. I think Yabusele has been okay. His shot has been a bit strong. He's getting good looks though. Like, he's wide open. He's getting good looks. He posts up. He like, the recognition is there. If he has a smaller guy on him, he takes him down in the post. The recognition is there. He reminds me of like a swollen Randall in terms of how he plays, he plays.
He plays bully ball.
Bully ball, yeah.
I like bully ball now. I'm not gonna lie. He's gonna take some time to adjust to this team. Like, he's new. Yeah. I have to give him some grace. I mean, I haven't loved what I've seen, but I'm not. I'm not gonna kill him yet because I think he's got a lot of learning, and so does Clarkson for that matter. Clarkson's inefficiency is his reputation, and he's living up to that reputation, and it's frustrating me. With Yabusele, I think his defense has been better than I expected it to be, so that's a pleasant surprise. I thought he was going to be more like a traffic cone, and it looks like he can actually guard people, which is a really good sign.
Um, overall, I think the defense has been impressive. Like the offense is not there yet. I don't know. I know you guys talked about it, but the offense, like obviously they need to work. They need to get a little bit familiar. But the defense, the activity on defense, I like. There's the hands in the passing lane, the swarming the ball and creating havoc, creating turnover. That's been at least tonight. That was really really good.
Yeah, and the recognition, like when
Yes.
Deuce, when Randall was pounding the ball, just went over there and took it,
Yeah.
and created a
Snuck in. Yeah.
turnover
Snuck
and an
behind him.
opportunity, you
Yeah.
know, for the Knicks. Yeah, just thoughts on Deuce. We haven't talked about Deuce tonight either.
Go ahead, Ajay. You just got here. We need to hear your voice,
Well,
bud.
I mean, listen, Deuce. He's actually throughout the whole the preseason, he's been very active. He's been playing well. Of course, he needs to hit the shots a little bit. Not that he's not hitting them, but he needs to be a little more efficient, a little more aggressive on offense. He shot the ball. I don't know what the numbers, but just judging by the game, like I know he hit a couple of big ones.
I think it was 0 for his first 5, and then he hit 2.
And then he hit a couple of, and the 2 he hit were like huge because we needed them. So he hit a couple of big ones. But yeah, he needs to be more efficient as do a lot of other guys on the team. That's why, like, I don't think they got into the offensive floor yet that Mike Brown's trying to is just trying to run here.
Yeah.
I think hopefully in a couple of weeks everybody's going to be on the same page, and I don't think it's not going to happen either. I think it is preseason. I think they're just trying to get in the floor. They want to play, but they're getting it, and I like that they're focusing on defense right now, because I think the offense, these guys can score. We know that. I love that they're focusing on defense, and it's showing that they're actually not just defense, but also I think one of the stuff we were worried about is like who's gonna rebound the ball. I see everybody's crashing the boards. Everybody's going after.
OG had 6 in 24 minutes. Now, if that's going to be OG Anunoby, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
He had 6.
Mitch had
Jalen
6.
had 3. No, sorry. Jalen had 4. Mikal had 4. Call Anthony 10. Well, he had 11. We already know what he does. Yeah, I will say this though. It's hard to get in an offensive rhythm when you're playing 17 guys. So I think once the rotation tightens up a little bit and they get in those reps and what the rotation is, you kind of start getting a feel of who you're going to be in the game with. I think that helps. But right now they're trying to get a look at everybody, like really trying to make decisions, give everybody an opportunity, not play this. They're doing it like football, right? Preseason in football, you don't really see the starters until the 4th game. They'll play, most of like 3 quarters or something like that. It's kind of like how it is, like ramping the players up. They got more minutes today. They may get more minutes against Washington. That last game, they may not even play at all. I mean, who knows? But I think as the rotation pares down and they get more reps, we'll see some more fluidity offensively.
But I also like that they're trying different units, right? He's playing with a lot of different lineups and saying, just to take a look at them and see what they look like and say, hey, is this something that'll work, or is it, or not? And so I think mismatching and pairing them up separately like that is a really good idea, and it's something I do want to see more of in this preseason. This is the time to experiment with what players are playing with whom and those sorts of things, and we definitely saw in overtime our closing lineup of Bowman and Porty and Kolek and Matthews.
Right. Yeah. That'll tighten up. So we're not playing 17 players in the regular season. So that'll salute Davis Smith.
David Smith in the house.
The president of the Carl Anthony Towns fan club. Appreciate
he's higher than the president. I don't know what that is, but
whatever's higher than the president. Yeah, I was so usually they in the regular season, when you look at the stats on NBA.com, you can look at it by half, by quarters. I don't see that option because I was just looking to see how the starters performed um, in the first half. Um, but I don't. Oh, here it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. So yeah, McBride didn't have a good first half. 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. Definitely turned it around in the second half. Hit some key shots to help the Knicks get back into the game. And you can argue, and fans have been arguing this in the chat. The first half is the half because that's when Minnesota was playing their best players. That's going to give you a better sense of how this Knick team is doing. Um, and don't get blindsided, so to speak, by the second half when we're playing our second and third team. They're playing their second and maybe third and fourth team. But it was still good just to see the energy. It was still good to see, players understand the moment and hit big shots, even if the competition wasn't as stout as it was in the first half.
It's a 1-point game at the end of the first quarter. I mean, against an elite team, we were right there. I mean, and that's without either one of our best players shooting the ball even close to what they're capable of. So you have to be, in my opinion, encouraged about that they only allowed 21 points. They were right in the game. It wasn't a great second quarter. I didn't think that the bench came in and did a very good job in that second quarter, but just my opinion. But
Yeah.
I thought to start the game I thought it was a strong first quarter, and I was encouraged by it. And to me, whatever happened after that, I didn't really care as much. When I tuned in, I was like, I want to see how the starting unit looks in the first quarter. We struggled on offense, but we got good looks, and we played toe to toe with a Western Conference Finals contender. And that's good enough. And the rest is just mixing and matching lineups and kind of collecting data about different things. And some of it looked really good and others of it looked really bad. And that's what you expect, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The Knicks shot 32. Yeah. I don't even want to get into it. They was just terrible. Shooting wise. A few comments from the chat. Old head, appreciate you. I like Brogdon savvy, and Hawkporty is the backup center. Okay. Really? You think Hawkporty is a better backup center? Oh, okay. I guess Mitch is. So you're saying Mitch is starting. Cat is it? Okay. I got it. Okay, got it. Okay.
Cat at the 4.
Yeah, got you. And Matthews might be earning a uniform. I got you. David Smith is not in favor of the double big.
I so disagree with that statement. I was gonna
let's read it first, and then we could talk about it. Double big is a disaster. Cat is a natural center, and playing him at power forward is making him worse, and our offense worse. Ajay.
I disagree. I didn't. First of all, I didn't see. So far, I don't see a problem with it. It's not clogged up. It's nicely spaced out, and everybody's doing their own thing. Cat, he has played before. That's what he did in Minnesota. He was very successful at it, and with a little bit of practice over here, I think we're going to be just, if not more, successful than he was in Minnesota. I have no problem with Cat at the 4. I think they play well together. I think, and it's like at the 4 for some reason, he defends better. Cat when Mitchell Robinson's there, maybe because he doesn't have primary center duty or his primary job.
He's not fast with being a rim protector.
Right, he's not the rim protector, so he plays. He's a better defender with Mitch on the floor. So I think the opposite. I think it works.
I think time will tell, right? I mean, it's just 3 preseason games, and the good thing about it, David, is that Cat will see a significant amount of time at center. If you told me that every time Cat was on the floor, it would be with Mitch, I would be concerned too. I do think if your team is, I think Cat having some center minutes makes the team better, right? Having that versatility makes the team better. Mitch is going to play anywhere from 24 to 26 minutes, so Cat is still going to get 20 to 22 minutes at center. Mike Brown talks a lot about pace and space, and you're talking about pace and space. You have to have the lineups that can pace and space. So Karl Anthony Towns will get, his fair of minutes at the center. But I will tell you, it remains to be seen. I hear what you're saying, Ajay, but I think that's a good argument, and it'll play itself out over the regular season. Is Cat better at center, and is the Knicks offense better with Cat at center, and is the Knicks as a team better with Cat at center, or is the Knicks as a team better with Cat splitting half his time between power forward and center? I think time will bear that out.
Well,
Jeff? Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. Before Jeff, but I hear you and I agree with you. But you see that statement? Double big is a disaster. I don't think it's a disaster. Like a disaster is like, I mean, to me, that's out there. Like after like the few minutes that they played, and the few minutes that they played, I think have been fairly successful. I don't know how you get disaster out of what we've seen so far. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah, I think it's too early to tell whether it's a disaster, but I think the point after that is well, we shall see. I think it's a fair concern. We shall see whether that's the case. Jeff, your thoughts?
Well, I prefer Cat at the 5, so I'm kind of with David Smith on this part of the argument. I think that he's maximized on offense when he's a 5 and not a 4. Not that he's not good at the 4 spot. I think just that he's another level at the 5 on offense. And I think what you saw is that when Cat was at the 5, they actually put Rudy Gobert on OG, and OG drove past him for that nice two-handed finish, I think it was. So I think that's something that we're going to see a lot, and that's something that OG is going to have to take advantage of, and that's something that Towns is going to have to take advantage of. When he gets that smaller player on him, he's got to punish that mismatch. And when OG has that slower player on him, he's got to punish that mismatch too, because if you kill the mismatch 2 or 3 times, they're going to do something else. They're going to be like, okay, this is not working. We gotta switch back to something else because it's not working. So if you're causing them to put their center on your power forward, that should be an advantage for you. And I think it creates advantages both ways. And so I think that's something that Tom Thibodeau's Knicks didn't do a good job of last year. And that's something that I want to see out of Mike Brown's Knicks. And mostly Towns didn't shoot the ball well tonight. Like if he was 6 for 11 instead of 3 for 11, nobody says anything about it at all. Like I think Towns is going to be fine. I didn't think he played poorly tonight. He didn't shoot the ball well, but he had 11 rebounds. He played well defensively, in my opinion. And so I had no problem with Karl Anthony Towns' game tonight whatsoever, even though he didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah. And yeah, I think Mike Brown is going to mix it up. Anybody have any intel on why Mitchell Robinson didn't play in the second half? Because I'm wondering if that's an example of what we're talking about. The Knicks needed more spacing. They needed more fluidity on offense. We're just going to go 5 out. We're going to put more offensive players in there. Or was Mitchell Robinson hurt, or they're resting him and bringing him along slowly?
Considering we only had 38 points in the first half, I kind of think it was that he wanted more shooting on the floor. It's to try and get some more points. So yeah, that's what I think. If they didn't. I haven't seen anything. I'm checking Twitter now to see if
Mhm.
if there's any injury news or anything, but I haven't seen anything, and so I'm guessing that it wasn't the case.
Yeah. And so, and that's, if that is the case, that's an example of the versatility that the Knicks have. You could start a half and not even play in the second half, So we'll see. David Smith, duly noted. Um, I think this is something we will revisit multiple times.
Throughout the season, yeah. Yep.
Giants beat the Eagles 34-17.
34-17.
Nice, nice,
And
nice.
Jarrell gets to talk smack to his coworker. He lives in the Philly area, so he gonna be loud and proud tomorrow. He probably gonna have his diehard Giants shirt on at work. He got to wear a shirt and tie to work. He gonna come in with the tie over the diehard Giants shirt. That's my guy right there. I'm not a Giants fan, but I hate the Eagles. So go Giants. Way to get revenge on Barkley and company. Good, well done. I applaud you.
Yeah. Saquon ain't do nothing tonight.
Yeah, and it's just good to see the Giants rebound after a game that they had a good chance coming in to win last week. And they lose that game in the fashion that they lost it. And it just shows that they got some guts to them, right? That they can, on a short week, turn around and come out and get a win against Philly.
Resilient.
Says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, says a lot. Anything else about this game or about preseason overall? I do want to touch anyway. Yeah. Anything else before we get into the next topic? All right. Okay. So, yeah. So certain things I don't even like to talk about. So apparently the Knicks reached out and spoke to Milwaukee's front office over the summer about a potential trade. Obviously, it didn't happen. Why it was leaked right now when it, anyway, whatever. I'm locked in. Like I'm locked in on this season, this team, and I see this news as somewhat of a distraction. That being said, I would like the Knicks to just, before you change, like let a season play out. Like let a team play out and be like, oh, you know what, this is not working. Let's do this. That being said, it's not always, players don't always come available on your timeline. Sometimes they come available when they become available, and you have to make a decision about whether you're gonna go for it or not. Yeah. I don't have much to say about it. Jeff, Ajay.
Well, first of all, when Shams reports it, you at least have to pay it its due diligence, right? This isn't just like some random Bleacher Report, like Knicks for clicks kind of. Shams doesn't do that. He doesn't need to do that. So clearly there were some conversations that were had this summer. And I think it's also clear that based upon no deal getting done, the Knicks don't have what the Bucks want, and the Bucks, probably want more than the Knicks are willing to pay. So, I think that probably if things go poorly for both franchises this year, this is something that will be revisited this summer, because the Knicks will have draft capital that they can trade at that point, and then that would change how that deal works. But let me just say this: the only deal that I know of that really works salary cap wise, that makes sense, as far as I know. I could be wrong, because I haven't really entertained it. But if it's a deal that's like Giannis and Kuzma for Anunoby and Towns, I don't think that makes us better.
Right.
And that's not meant as a disrespect to Giannis. Everybody knows Giannis is an elite player, but I just don't know that the combination of those two is, especially Kuzma at this point in his career. I've never been much of a Kuzma fan anyway, full disclosure, but I don't know that improves us very much as a team. And kind of it seems like it. I don't know why the Bucks really want Towns. Like I don't know that would be the piece that they would want coming back. Now, if Giannis forces his hand and says, "I only want to go to the Knicks, trade me to the Knicks," I don't know. Maybe that's possible, but I don't. They don't. It's not like he's got 2 years left on his deal, so it's not like they can just. I mean, they can send him anywhere they want to go. They want to, who's willing to trade for him. And the Toronto Raptors proved that teams are willing to make a 1-year deal if they think it's going to get him a title. I mean, they did it with Leonard. So, just because he wants to come here doesn't mean that we have what they want and they want to trade him here. And, I don't know that we have assets that fit them really well. And if you're talking about adding in a third team or a fourth team to get draft capital, all that becomes a complicated mess. It's possible because, look, I never expected Julius Randle and DiVincenzo to go out last year for Towns, so I'm not going to say that it can't happen. If both teams are kind of, needing a change of scenery at the trade deadline, maybe you see something. I don't know. I just don't see it, and I kind of want to see what this team can do. The way that it's constructed, maybe that's foolishness, but I don't think the Bucks want to, are certain. I don't think they're at least in a hurry to move on from Giannis if they can help it.
They're not in a hurry, but if next year is if he goes into next year, he can opt out the year after.
Yeah, then his trade value does significantly decrease because
if he says
it's a 1-year rental.
Right. If he says like next year that he's going to opt out and he's not going to resign, I would think they would want to get something for him instead of letting him opt out and become a free agent. Now, who would have the money to sign him in free agency? I don't even think it would get to that point. But if he says he wasn't re-signing, I would think that they would work with him to trade him.
I agree.
Yeah. But in a perfect world, I would want Cat and Giannis. And Brunson, and then build around
Who
that.
wouldn't? Yeah. Sign me up for that. Make it happen, Queen. Wave that magic wand and make it so.
I mean, the money can work, but I don't think they're gonna want OG and Mitch. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna want OG and Mitch. But if that was the case, yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. Any thoughts, Ajay?
The only thing one thing I would say about that is it's good to know that the front office is doing their job. They're doing their due diligence, making the calls and trying to find out what's out there, what's available. They made the call, they had the conversation. But like you, Queen, I don't know that it would have made us better, but I don't know. And that means it could have not make us. So it could have went either way. So I don't know how that would have worked. But listen, and I think you or Jeff said that I'd like to see what this team can do. It's like we built something. Let's see let's see how far we can go with what we built. And last season, I don't know if you remember when we traded for Karl Anthony Towns. That's one of the things that I really hated about that trade is we built this team and we never had a chance to see what that team could accomplish with Julius Randle and DiVincenzo. I really hated that trade, just especially for that. If we building, let's see what it is, what we built. Let's see where we can go with it. You just not give it a chance. Let's give it a chance. Let's see how far we can go with it. Listen, if it happens that next summer he becomes available and we could trade for him, so be it. But I hate to tell you, Queen, we're not gonna be trading for him and then keep Cat. Like Cat will be gone if you know if there is a trade for Giannis. So
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I just said in a perfect world.
yeah.
You
But
know,
I mean,
I'm not sure about. I think Giannis, Cat, and Brunson makes us better than Giannis, OG, Brunson. Yeah, but we shall see. We shall see.
Although Giannis, OG, and Bridges, if you still had those three, that could be very dynamic defensively.
Yes, it could be dynamic defensively, but offensively, yeah, yeah. We'll see. I don't want to really rack my brain about how that could or couldn't work right now. Like I'm trying to figure out.
She's like, I got an early flight tomorrow. I'm not.
Yeah, and
Right.
And this I'm trying to figure out the double big lineup, and yeah.
We'll consider it if and when it happens. Until then, we can just park that conversation.
Yeah, like I don't even like a lot of the storylines that come up. I'll be like, do I really got to talk about this Thursday? You know? Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, let me just see what the chat is saying. Let him opt out if he's serious. Then even if he opts out, the Knicks don't have money to sign him in free agency.
Opt out and sign the vet men so he can play.
Right.
Imagine that. Giannis, Cat, OG, Brunson, Bridges. That would be insane.
Right. Bucks want Brunson and McCall. They're not even looking at Cat. The Bucks. Listen, I'm not saying Cat is not a great player, but you trade Brunson. To me, it's just more about the makeup of the team, who's scoring down the stretch, who's Nah, I wouldn't do that. And it's more about a team thing, not whether Giannis is better than Brunson. Every way I see them talk about is that it starts with Brunson. Maybe that's why the conversation.
Why they hung up the phone, right? You need a backcourt star. You can't just have Giannis and nobody like those. The Bucks team that won a championship had Drew Holiday. I mean, a legit star guard. Like you can't trade away. You're just swapping deck chairs on the Titanic with that trade. You're not doing it yourself any favors. You're adding another great front court player, but then you don't have a good backcourt again.
Right. Exactly. Shout out to the greatest show out.
Delusional was working it in that. I caught a little bit of your play-by-play there. Keep working there, young man. You're doing a good job.
Oh, I didn't a play-by-play of the preseason game?
Yes.
I missed that.
On his own channel.
I missed that. Okay. All right. Wiz. My guy. Giannis, Cat, JB, and OG is a championship team, a multi-team trade with some combo of Mikal, Mitch, Douche, Albacelli, Daddy, and draft picks. Nah.
That ain't enough.
That ain't enough.
More importantly, and very alarming, Wiz is willing to trade Deuce. What's going on?
Right. I forgot about Josh Kolek and McCullough, who also have to be in the discussion. Kolek and McCullough
doesn't move the needle.
They barely hanging on to a roster spot Forget being in a trade for Giannis.
Kolic's not ready.
Why you want Cat and Giannis? That doesn't make sense. Why? If you can have Cat and Mitch, you can have Cat and Giannis. No?
I actually think the two pair together quite well because Cat gives you the outside shooting, which opens up the driving lanes for Antetokounmpo. And I think that's you add Brunson to that, keep Brunson in that mix. That's that's lights out in my opinion. But I mean, it ain't gonna happen. But
right,
it would definitely be
right.
If you want to dream about it, that's your business.
Right. Yeah, I think it would work well. But again, the Knicks don't have to think about this until the off season. And I think somebody said in the chat, if Giannis becomes available, the Knicks are going to do it because that's something Dolan would want. Loves the shiny toys. Very impatient historically anyway. And particularly if the Knicks underachieve this year, I can definitely see the Knicks making a change. But this is the thing for me. And say what you want to say about Tom Thibodeau. If this team doesn't go as planned, say what you want to say about that. I just feel like the Knicks organization is too impatient. Like a championship team is not built overnight. Even if this team underachieves, run it back. Like you look at Indiana getting to the finals. They didn't put that team together that year. That team was together for a few years. They went through some things. The Knicks are gonna have to go through some things. It can't just be, oh, we didn't make it. All right, we got to make a major change. Tweak around the edges, fine. Major changes. So the Knicks don't make it. They lose in the second round. It happens. The Bucks lost in the first or second round the year before they won the championship. It happens. Don't panic.
Queen, that's what they did this season. They tweaked it. It didn't work last season. So they did the tweaking already.
A coaching change is more than a tweak. And trading for Giannis, if this team doesn't meet expectations, is more than a tweak too. So
you're changing the entire complexion of your roster because everybody ends up having to play a different way.
What, the coaching change?
Giannis.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean Giannis. Yeah, but I'm saying you saying be patient. I'm saying they have been patient. That's what I'm saying because they didn't change much. They just beefed up the bench.
Tom Thibodeau wouldn't say they were patient.
If you changing, you get to the East. Listen, I'm not getting into whether or not I was fine with Tom Thibodeau being fired if he lost the support of the players and the support of the front office. It's untenable. It's untenable. That's even before you get into offensive schemes, defensive schemes, lineup. If you lose the players in the front office, it's time to go. Mm. That being said, you know who Tom Thibodeau was when you signed him to that contract. You play Indiana, and I don't know Dolan. I don't know the front office. Maybe their feeling is, even though Indiana went on to almost win a championship, we should have won. Now we're going to make a change. First time to the Eastern Conference Final, we're going to make a change, as opposed to running it back and seeing what you can do next year. Fine. If the same thing happens this year, the Knicks don't meet expectations, I just feel like you got to just run it back, make some changes around the edges, these major changes. Now there's another year where that team is going to have to gel, because to Jeff's point, bringing in Giannis is not a small thing. It changes how you play, So we shall see. Yeah, we shall see. It's a process. It's a process. Like the expectation that Mike Brown wins the championship this first year. I just think, yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Delusional said can't pass up on 30.
Looks like Tatum may be back for Boston before.
Yeah.
Looks like Tatum's recovery is going really well. Did you see he was dunking already?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So he's expecting to play again this year for Boston. So maybe we're writing them off a little too soon. I don't think so.
But they've traded away some key players. You know, Horford, KP, Drew Holiday. What do they have left? I know they have Jalen and they have Derek White. Well, I guess they feel like that's good enough. I don't know if it is.
I don't either, but I'm not scared of them either way. I'm just saying that certainly makes them more of a threat. I mean, look, that's definitely a playoff team. With when you add Tatum back in the mix, they're definitely a top 4 team in the East, in my opinion, because Tatum and Brown are that good. I mean, in my opinion, and McConnell looks like he's going to be out for at least a month. Does that torpedo what was left of the Pacers season?
Yeah.
Or does Campaign come to the rescue in Indiana?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna miss McConnell.
Yeah. All right. Any last words?
Getting closer every day. It's almost here, the start of the regular season. We can put all this games that don't matter behind us and get into the real journey. This was a lot of fun. It's not very often that we have a post game on our Thursday night show, so this is kind of a fun treat. I was glad Ajay came in late, but he still made it, and I hadn't seen him in a bit, so that was good that he made it. And Queen, appreciate the platform, giving me the ability to talk about this team. It's therapy for me, not just like in life. It's just good to get away and hang out with some close friends in the chat and just be for a little bit is really cool. So I appreciate the opportunity as always. And you're the best. Hostess with the mostest. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, if it's okay with you guys, and we could talk about it later, I would like to get in 2 shows before we play Wednesday. Next week, the 16th, and maybe a Monday or Tuesday. May have to be Monday because Jarrell has his show on Tuesday. Because I want to do the Eastern Conference breakdown. I thought we would do that today, but the Knicks had a game. And then I also want to do, the preseason show where we talk about
the wrap up.
And then we talk about, the
expectations,
records, dark horse, all of that, all of that.
We can go on the record and be galactically wrong. That's
right.
Except for Ajay, he knows that Yabusele is going to be in the starting 5.
Be a starting 5.
Right.
When do you start the Queen's Court over on?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing Queen's Court this year.
No,
I don't think I'm doing Queen's Court this year. I'm going to speak with some, but my schedule is pretty hectic with the weekly show, the show I'm going to do with Jeff after every game, the show I'm doing with AD, Anthony D, once a week, and then the traveling, which usually gets me back into New York on a Monday. It's gonna be a little rough. So I don't think I'll be doing Queen's Court this year. Yeah.
A little sad about that, but I understand.
Yeah, that was
only so many hours in a day, but I love that show.
That was a tough one. That's where I got my start. I've done Queen's Court for what, 5 years now, maybe more. And it would have been nice to have had like a send-off show, or like a show where I knew this was the last show, so
a finale.
A finale, yes. Finale. Yeah. I don't know.
Do one. Like what's stopping
We
you?
could do it on Monday.
One.
That could be. We could make it one of these shows. Like you said, you wanted to do twice. We could do a Monday show with everybody, and then that'd be the closing at Queen's Court, and then just have our regular Thursday show.
Yeah.
It's
I
up to you. I
gotta
don't
get in contact with Sam. I know I emailed him. I've been meaning to call, but it's been a big
busy. It's understandable. We all. It's getting crazy. I'm curious to see how all this shakes out because it's a lot of. There's going to be a lot for all of us, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, old head. Knicks versus Washington on Monday at 7:30 p.m. at MSG, I believe. Yeah, at MSG. Yeah, I'll be back in time for that game. For sure.
That's the last preseason game, right?
No, there's another one.
There's 2 more. I think there's 5 total. Yeah.
Okay. Charlotte, right? We play Charlotte.
So yeah, so Washington, and then that one more, and then the 22nd next Wednesday.
Wow.
The Knicks open up
Cleveland at MSG. Woo. We'll find out about our team then. I guarantee you. Of course, we can't panic. The Celtics blew our doors off in the opening game last year, and then we got our revenge in the playoffs. So we can't. Probably need to not freak out, regardless of what happens. But overreaction is part of being a fan. So that's
we're Knicks fans, Jeff. We will overreact.
Yeah, I listen.
Take
care of your mental health this season because expectations are high. So the Knicks lose 2 games in a row. Oh man! So whatever you do, your meditation sessions, whatever you do to keep yourself calm and level, we're gonna need that this season.
I'm just glad that the show is at noon the next day because my takes would really right after the game. I'll be like, "Fire everyone!" This.
Right.
The first 2 games, the first 2 losses in a row will be. I know we should have kept Tibbs. I know it.
Nobody's gonna say that.
Guys, mine will say that. That's my guy, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway, Jeff, I appreciate you. Ajay, I appreciate you. Everybody in the chat who's rocking with us, the replay gang, the silent listeners. I appreciate you all, and there'll be more content on the channel.
Yes.
This season. I'm looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll be fine.
Anyway, until next time, family. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
What?